Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Tampa Bay Lightning Throwback 2009 franchise mode here in NHL 23. So in last episode, we had the 2010 trade deadline. We've kind of bolstered up our defense a little bit, acquiring Ozzy Vananen from, I forget what team it was now, but we brought him in. And yeah, he's been pretty solid, I'd say. He's helped out our chemistry a little bit on the top six pairing. It was the Los Angeles Kings. I couldn't remember because it was in a team he actually played for, but we traded for him because he was like being used as a depth defenseman. He came in and had 11 points in 41 games, which was more offense than I was expecting from somebody like him, and he was also a +3. So I do really like this addition of Ozzy Vananen, and hopefully he could help us out in the playoffs defensively. He did have some short-handed points too, which is actually kind of nice. So it's good to have a defenseman that could do kind of everything that you need on the penalty kill. So that was really good to bring him in. And yeah, we pretty much kept the team. The rest is the same. And you could see our roster looks way better than it did last year. Obviously, we kind of bolstered up a little bit with some free agent signings as well this season. And also bringing in Matt Niskanen helped out things a lot. But it is really nice to be in the playoffs because this series is technically a very limited series because we are already like not too far away from NHL 24. Before we actually get into like this episode fully, just want to let you guys know that I do have a poll out that would be linked in the description or on my community tab. You basically could go vote on what you guys want me to do for my first franchise mode series of the year alongside my Draft to Glory series that I'm going to be running. So go vote on that. Currently, as of this recording, the Winnipeg Jets are the team that's winning. So would be interesting if we end up doing Winnipeg. So yeah, go vote on that because it'll help shape what we're going to be doing content-wise for NHL 24. But anyways, before we get into this first round matchup with the Toronto Maple Leafs, I do have quite a few comments to go over, a lot more than I was actually expecting. The first one is from Michael Dost, who said, didn't know if I'd like to go back to 2010, but love the nostalgia and love the seeing the playoff format this way too. Hate the way they do playoffs now, and I totally agree. I like the old playoff format a lot better because 1v8 makes a lot more sense than having, like, say, maybe 1 versus 2 or whatever the heck it is in the division. I would rather prefer it the old way. I just don't know if the NHL would ever go back to this type of format, but hopefully they do at some point because I did really like this format when it worked. The next comment is from my buddy Kevin, who says, Chris Kelly going to the Ducks this early is disgusting. I didn't remember that he ended his career with the Ducks. And yes, he ended his career with the Ducks. He didn't really play that long term with the Ducks in our real life. But yes, he did go to the Ducks a little bit early in this franchise mode. As you can see here, he is... How did he do with Anaheim, out of curiosity? Only 5 points in 21 games, but he was doing really well with Ottawa, so he must have got way less ice time. Yeah, way less by 2 minutes. Yeah, okay. Kind of weird that they're using him as a winger as well, but I mean, he does play left wing and center, so that's not too bad that they're actually playing him in a right spot. They're not like playing him as a right winger or scratching him because the AI can be kind of dumb sometimes. But yeah, there is Chris Kelly. The next comment is from David Thomas, who says, love these throwback teams. Just curious if you make all your players from scratch every time you do one of these videos, because that would take a lot of time. Very cool to watch. And not for every single one of these videos, unless I'm doing like these like throwback franchise mode seasons, every single like NHL game that comes out. Basically every year I do have to make every single player for my roster builds, and I have to remove all the current NHL players as well, which is one of the more tedious things. So I do technically do that type of thing every year, but once I have it done once, I don't have to really do it again in a sense, because for example, I could just move around players transaction wise. If I was doing like a 2010 build in NHL 23, for example, I could literally just move around players to the teams that they're actually on and that type of thing. So it's a lot easier, and I don't have to actually remove players multiple times. I just have to remove it once, and then I could just build off of a prior roster file. Next comment is from LeafsFan161, who says, I'm surprised on how at how the Leafs are doing this good in the simulation, considering IRL at this time. They are arguably the worst team in the NHL, and yeah, I have no idea how they're doing this well. I would assume it's probably just based on the additions they added via trading, like Svatos we know about. I would assume they signed some players in the offseason, like I think when we looked at the roster they did. We'll definitely take a look at their lines again just to familiarize ourselves a little bit, but yeah, I think it's probably just a couple additions that have helped out this team a lot more than they were supposed to. The next comment is from DLG Wild 69, my buddy Tyler from the Discord, who says, love me some goalie goals, and of course I do as well. Mike Smith scored a goal this season, which I was not expecting, because that was the first time I ever had a goalie score in a franchise mode. And then I also forgot about another comment from Michael, actually, who says, confused on Ottawa and the Rangers tiebreaker too, as I looked up NHL tiebreaker procedure, and it looks like ROW is first, then wins, then head-to-head. I thought they tied in ROW, but Ottawa had more wins, but maybe some of them went to overtime or shootout, and then the Rangers won in head-to-head. So I wish I could take a look at what their schedule was like, but that seems to be probably the most logical option. If there's not, then I honestly don't know if this game just has a little bit of a bug in it that obviously EA doesn't know about. And yeah, those were the comments I got in last episode, so let's take a look at what the Toronto Maple Leafs look like again, just familiarize yourself a little bit, and then we will get into this first round matchup. Hopefully we are able to beat them, but yeah, this is this Toronto team. They actually have very good winger depth. That's one thing that I've noticed. Center depth, not as much, but like when you have a top six of Hagman, Stage, and Stempniak, Foto, Skrabowski, Kuhlman, that's not really that bad. And then also with Jason Blake being on the third line and Alexei Ponikarovsky, it's pretty solid. Vernon Fiddler as a third line center isn't really the worst option either. He's actually not a bad kind of third/fourth liner, but I'd say he's a little bit weak compared to having like Gabrowski and Stajan up there. And then their fourth line is all 80s as well. John Mitchell, Jamal Myers, and Nigel Dawes, who they brought in via free agencies. So offensively, they brought in 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, they brought in 3 players that were not there actually in 09. And then defensively, you could see their defensive core a little bit on the weaker side of things, but they did bring in a couple players like Oystrick. I think Derek Morris definitely helps out this defensive core a lot. Yeah, other than that, it's the same Leafs defensive core that it was in 09. And goalie-wise, they did bring in 2 new goalies. Maybe that helped out as well, bringing in Heavy Bullen and Niittymaki to getting them into the playoffs, especially Niittymaki, because Niittymaki was a really solid backup for them, while Heavy Bullen really kind of didn't do as well as I was expecting he would. He did do better than he was in Chicago, but he's below 500 at the moment. And then depth-wise, they have Shen, they have Curry from the AHL, which is not a player I added, obviously, and Jeff Fingers. So I think it's going to be an interesting matchup. I honestly don't know who has the upper hand, because obviously we've never been in this playoff scenario before, but you can see we finished a little bit better than them in the season. They are 8-2 in their last 10 games, though, which is a bit nerve-wracking. So anyways, let's get into this first round matchup against the Leafs and see if we could win and get ourselves to the second round, because this honestly might be one of our only playoff runs of this franchise mode, because if for some reason we get to the Cup Finals, even though I don't know if that's going to happen or not, that'll be 2 more weeks full of episodes. If we get to round 2, that's another week of episodes basically, which means we're another week closer to NHL. So we might only get through another season almost at the most in this series, which really sucks. I would like it to extend longer, but with NHL 24 around the corner, obviously that's going to be my priority. So anyways, let's get into game number 1 on home ice at the St. Pete Times Forum and see if we can take a 1-0 series lead. We need our top guys to get going if possible. First period, 2-0 Leafs. Not ideal, and a short-handed goal from Nikolai Kuhlman, and John Mitchell scores as well. We're outshooting him 11-10, but we are down 2-0. Not a great start for Mike Smith. He's kind of playing like Mike Smith does in the playoffs, because if I remember right, Mike Smith with the Oilers, he would play really good in the regular season, and then playoff-wise, he was just not good at all. So if Mike Smith completely plays like crap, we know he's realistic at least. We might turn to Craig Anderson at some point. Craig Anderson definitely could come into a playoff game at any point in this series. So we're down 2-0 after 1. Can we find a way to bounce back in the second period? Second period, still 2-0 Leafs. Not ideal. Shots are 20-18 in favor of them, but we have yet to score a single goal on Happy Bullen. He's playing like he did in 04 for the Lightning when they won the Stanley Cup at the moment. Can we find a way to get a goal past him? Come on, boys. Let's get that first playoff goal. Come on. Hey, there we go. Mark-Dan St. Louis, of all people. And then Niskanen scores. Let's go, Matt Niskanen. Let's go. But Kubina scores, the former Lightning, of course. There's a lot of guys from 04 in here, isn't there? Come on, boys. Let's get one back. We need one more goal to bring us to OT, if possible. Final few minutes, and we're going to lose on a Pavel Kubina goal. That's unfortunate. So St. Louis scores on his former teammate. Niskanen scored to tie the game up, and I thought, hey, maybe this game is actually going to go to overtime, but Kubina had other answers, and unfortunately we lose 3-2. Shots were 33-27 at the end of it. Not a terrible first game by any standard, but definitely our offense kind of showed up a bit too late, I'd say. St. Louis from Prospel and Ranger, and Niskanen from Helper. Is our only goal. Let's see, any badly minus players in game one. Only Stamkos, of course. Yeah, Stamkos has really been struggling. Gianno and LeCavalier were minus. Foster and Krejcik. Not the worst performance from Mike Smith. John Mitchell gets first start of the game. Caberlet had an assist on every goal. That's one thing we don't really have is somebody like Caberlet. I mean, we do have Mazzaros, but I wouldn't say Mazzaros is anywhere close to Caberlet. And then Heavy Bullen played really solid against his former team, of course. So I think we're going to keep the lineup the same. That wasn't a terrible first loss. Actually, we won't be keeping the lineup the same as Curtis Foster has suffered a mild concussion. Let me go replace... Actually, let me go edit lines and do this myself. I could go replace player, but I want to see where the hole is. So Krejcik could go up, which means Adam Party is going to get the play in a playoff game. Wow, okay. Is that actually a -3, though? Let me just double check that this isn't glitching out. Oh, it's only a -1. I could go with Party on the top 4, but I don't really like that, to be honest. Let's go with Ozzy up there. Why not? Ozzy with Ranger, and then Krejcik can play with Adam Party. Yeah, it looks okay. And yeah, we'll keep with Mike Smith for this game. Offensively, maybe we want to go back to Stamkos on the second line. Yeah, let's just go back to that again, see if Stamkos could find his footing a bit, because he still has been kind of a really big disappointment. He's had some good offense, I'd say, but also his plus-minus hasn't been really that positive, so I'm really hoping that he could start breaking out soon. Like next season, if he doesn't break out, I mean, I could still give him an 8-year deal, but a pretty cheap contract probably, but I don't really know if he's going to end up being that elite superstar that he is in real life. Let's keep the team the same, and let's get into Game 2 against Toronto and see if we could bounce back from that game, because we do not want to get potentially swept to the Leafs. That would not be great. First period of game number 2. And it's scoreless. Okay, I'll take it. But once again, we have yet to score in these opening periods, which is not ideal. Shots are 13-9 in favor of us. Heavy Bullen once again playing pretty good, so... Yeah, Nikolai Heavy Bullen seems to be in his 2004 stance right now in terms of saving pucks and not allowing a lot. Can we find a way to break the deadlock in the second period? Second period? 1-0 Leafs. Once again, we're going into the third without a goal. That's not ideal. Jamal Myers, of all people, as well, scored on Mike Smith. Shots are 23-21 in favor of Toronto. We need to find a way to break Heavy Bullen here because he has been literally the Bullen wall right now. So let's see what happens in the third. See if we're able to tie this one up like we did last game. Come on, boys. We have a big lack of offense so far. Stajan makes it 2-0, but LeCavalier answers back. Okay, LeCavalier. Can we get that tying goal next? Penalty kill. And, of course, they scored afterwards. Ponikarovsky makes it 3-1. Our offense is not doing well at all here. And the Leafs are going to be taking a 2-0 series lead headed back to their home arena at the Air Canada Centre. Not good. Cavalier from St. Louis. Yeah, we got to make some line adjustments, I think. Wow, who had 12 shots on goal? Cavalier. What the heck is he doing shooting that much? God damn. And he didn't even score really that much, right? He scored our 1 goal, right? Yeah, he scored our 1 goal, but still. We need him to score more than that on 12 shots. And Mike Smith was solid. I wouldn't put that game on Mike Smith for sure. LeCavalier actually got third star of the game, probably because of his 12 shots. But Heavy Bullen, once again, is our arch nemesis here in this early playoff matchup. We only have 3 goals in our first 2 games. They have 6. So we got to make some adjustments because we got to win games in Toronto now. Because if we lose any game in Toronto, we are in a bad spot. So let's make some adjustments here. like, let's go back to Prospel on the second line, Malone on the top line. So then it's Prospel, Stamkos, Giunta. And in our bottom six, who do we have scratched currently? Carsoms and Kopecky. Let's get Martins Carsoms into the lineup and take out Steve Downey. Let's get him in, Martin Carsoms in, just because who knows, maybe he can become a playoff hero for us. We'll move Adam Hall down to the fourth line. And I might take out Pettinger. Yeah, we're going to take out Matt Pettinger. He's not getting any ice time whatsoever, hardly. We'll get Kopecky in. There we go. Let's get Kopecky on the third line as well. So basically, we get two new guys drawing into our offense, trying to spark something. And then we get our physical players more down to the bottom six. And then Pettinger and Downey are going to be sitting on the bench. Curtis Foster still out with an injury is probably the big blow for our offense a little bit. And then, yeah, we're going to keep Brian with Mike Smith because he's got a good save percentage, but his goals against is a little bit high. But we could always turn to Craig Anderson if for some reason Mike Smith just starts playing terribly. But we need our offense to get going. That's our main concern right now. Because St. Louis and Lecavalier haven't done enough. Stamkos has been nowhere. Prospel's been nowhere. It's not ideal. Let's see what happens at the Air Canada Center, see if we could get back in the series, or are we going to be playing with a potential sweep here. First period of Game 3, and it's 1-1. Okay, we actually scored in the opening period, and of course it's one of the guys I called out in Vakov Prospel. Hagman tied it up, though. Unfortunately, shots are 10-10, and it's 1-1 after one, so very even period. Can we find a way to score more than a goal early on? Second period, 4-1, there we go. We finally found the way to beat Heavy Bull, and it's apparently Andre Meszaros. Meszaros scores 2 goals in the second period, and Marcel Gottsch, the German, has given us a 4-1 lead. Shots are 19-17 in favor of Toronto, but we are up by 3 goals. Let's lock this one down and get back into the series, and hopefully we could take next game as well, because if we could take next game as well, we're going to be back to square one again. If we lose next game, on the other hand, we're going to still be in the same spot we would have if we would have lost this game. So, final few minutes, still 4-1, and that seems like, no, it's not going to be the final. Stempniak makes it a 4-2 game late, but that is going to be it. We do take a game at least in the series. There's our first playoff win. Shots were in the Leafs' favor at the end of it, but a good game from Mike Smith, who's been actually pretty solid in the series. So a couple of the new guys actually got points in that game. So Prospel from Meszaros and Carsoms. So Carsoms gets an assist in his first game in the lineup. Then you got Meszaros from Halpern and Kopecky. So Kopecky picks up an assist. Gottsch from Malone and Vananen. And then Meszaros from Kopecky and Halpern. So Kopecky or whatever you want to call him had 2 assists. And Carsoms had an assist in that game. So the new guys being in the lineup helped out a lot in that game. And Meszaros having 3 points really went a long way. No minus players, that's also good. Lecavalier is still shooting like crazy, apparently. And yeah, great game for Mike Smith. Great game from him. Meszaros gets first star, Hagman the second star, and Mike Smith the third. The question is, are we going to be able to tie the series at 2? Or are we going to fall down 3-1? How's the other series looking like right now? Foster's back. That's huge for our blue line. That's huge. Because Adam Party has been okay so far, but still, I would rather have Curtis Foster in. So let's get Curtis Foster back into that top 4 alongside Paul Ranger. And we'll get, yeah, Vananen and Krejcik still playing together. Perfect. Okay, there's our lineup again. And what's this other series looking like right now? Pittsburgh's up 3-1 on the Rangers. Boston's up 2-1 on the Devils. Islanders are up 3-1 on the Caps. Goddamn. So the Islanders literally went from drafting John Tavares first overall to now being in the spot where they might be in round 2. Crazy. In the West, you currently have a tie between San Jose and Minnesota. Phoenix is up 2-1 on Columbus. LA's up 3-1 on Detroit. That's a big surprise. And Dallas is up 2-1 on the Nashville Predators. Interesting. Let's keep the team the exact same. That's a good game. Let's see if we could keep it up. Keep that momentum going. First period of Game 4, can we keep on solving Heavy Bull in here? Yes, we can, but we're still tied at 2, which is not great. Lecavalier scores the first 2 goals of the game, so he's been shooting a lot. No wonder he's scoring. So he scores the first 2 goals. Stempniak then pulled the Leafs within 1, and Hagman tied it up. Hagman's had a good series against us, probably because he used to play for the Florida Panthers, but shots are 12-8 in favor of us. It's a 2-2 game. Can we respond? Because we blew our 2-0 lead technically. Second period, still 2-2. I'll take it. Shots are 22-16 in favor of us, but after an offensive first period, it's been a goaltending duel right now. Can we find a way to get the lead in the third period and tie the series headed home? Come on, boys. This is a massive period for us this season. Who wants to be that guy? Power play opportunity. We do not score on it. Final 10 minutes of the third period. Come on, boys. Final 5 minutes. And we are... No! Are you kidding me? I thought we were going to go to overtime. Vernon Fiddler scores a short-handed goal in the final 3 minutes. And we're down 3-1. Well, that was a roller coaster of emotions. I thought we were going to score a power play goal or get that game to overtime at least. But we give up a big short-handed goal late. We outplayed them completely. But Happy Bullen once again became the Bullen Wall. That's unfortunate. We had a 2-0 lead in that game. LeCavalier from Malone in St. Louis. LeCavalier from Mazeros in St. Louis. And then, yeah, they took over. Vernon Fiddler of all people, really. I just think of Vernon Fiddler that there's like a video of him like laughing and LMV No laughing as well. That's the only thing I think of when I think of Vernon Fiddler. And also I think of Bacon Country though because of the coach named Fiddler. That's funny. So yeah, Happy Bullen first star, LeCavalier second star, and Fiddler third star. Maybe we should have brought back Nikolai Happy Bullen to Tampa at this rate. I mean, Mike Smith has been good, though, for us, but this team just hasn't been able to find a consistent effort every game. Let's see, what do we want to do in terms of our lineup? Any badly minus players on this team at the moment? Let me actually make sure I'm doing this properly. Let's see, -3 from Stamkos, Gianna. Oh, it's the second line, mostly. Stamkos and Gianna have been tragic. I think I have to split them up, kind of. Let's move St. Louis to the left side, move Gianna to the right side on the top line, and then we will move Stamkos to the wing, Malone there, Prospel. Because maybe Stamkos would be better as a winger, not as a center. That might be the best play. And then this third line has been okay. Marcel Gotch is a -2, but I could always just swap him and Adam Hall. Yeah, we'll do that. There we go. Perfect. That looks good. Hopefully that could get us back into the series. And let's also make maybe a defensive change. Krajcek up and Paul Ranger down. And Mike Smith has been, yeah, pretty good for not winning a lot of games. I could always turn to Craig Anderson, but I honestly have no idea how good he would do. So let's keep the team like this and see if we're able to win 3 straight games, which is probably not going to happen, but we got to see if we're able to get ourselves back into this series. As LA has already knocked out Detroit, which is crazy. I mean, they did technically win the Cup in 2012, so we're not too far away from that. Who else moved on so far? Pittsburgh's moved on, and other series have not ended yet. Not a surprise that Pittsburgh moved on, though. Here we go. Game number 5. We got to win 3 straight games, or else our series is done. Or season is done, I should say. Or both, technically, I guess, in a way. But, Grabowski makes it 1-0 Leafs early on. But we'll still simulate up to the awards in this episode if we get eliminated. So we'll be able to see who wins the Cup in 2010. We know it's not going to be the Chicago Blackhawks this time around because they didn't make the playoffs. And we are going to be down 1-0 after 1 despite outshooting them 14-13. That's actually quite a bit of shots for the first period. So seems like offense is on the fly right now. Let's see what happens in the second. See if we're able to find a way to tie this one up here. Stempniak makes it 2-0. Craig Anderson is now in net. So I guess Mike Smith might have got hurt, which is not ideal. That's not ideal. Power play opportunity. We do not capitalize on it. There's a goal from Jeff Halpern. Okay, I'll take that. He pulls us within 1. Halpern hadn't yet to score in the series, so that's nice to see him get on the board. Shots are 24-22 in favor of the Leafs. We're down 2-1. Our season comes down to this. We need to find a way to get a goal in this third period or else our season is done. Let's see what happens. Come on, boys. Power play opportunity. It's a long one. And we do not get anything on it. I got a lot of shots, but no goals. Yeah, Heavy Bullen has just been too good against us, which is unfortunate. Final 5 minutes of this third period. Still down by a goal. And we are going to lose 2-1 as Nikolai Heavy Bullen does it again. We should have brought in the Bullen Wall, and we were eliminated in round 1 in only 5 games. And yeah, our only goal in that game was Halpern from Hull and Ranger. Stamkos was nowhere. Craig Anderson was really good coming in, which is nice to see Halpern there as well. But what happened with Mike Smith? He played 7 minutes. Well, I have 1 goal and 8 shots. Must have got injured. If he's not injured, if it doesn't pop up that he's injured, it was only like a day-to-day thing. Yeah, it was a day-to-day thing. Damn, that sucks. Okay, well, we're out in round 1. Let's take a look at our player stats regardless. But I guess it's kind of good that we're knocked out early in a way, because now we'll be able to get through another full season and playoff-wise probably as well. If for some reason we're at a point where we're in a playoff scenario and there's only 1 episode I could do left before NHL 24, I'll probably put it all in 1 episode, so it's 1 giant episode or something like that. But let's take a look at our player stats from the playoffs. We just did not do enough offensively. Halpern had 4 points. He led our centers in points. Like, Halvey had 3 goals. He was good. Gotch and Stamkos, very, very quiet, especially Stamkos. He needs to develop more. His shooting is good. His offensive awareness is good. He needs to be that guy next season, because his point totals have not been there. Yikes. Left wing wise, Prospel, only 2 points is not enough either. Malone, 2 points too. Prospel might honestly be retiring soon too, which is not ideal. Pettinger didn't do much in his 2 games. St. Louis was good, but didn't score enough. Kobeski was good. Parsons had the 1 assist, which I like. Adam Hall was a +3. That's pretty solid. But still a lack of offense, and Gionta didn't do a single thing. So yeah, Gionta and Stamkos were the biggest disappointments, I think, so far. Mazzaros was really solid. Paul Ranger was okay. Same with Niskanen and Vaninen. Everybody else didn't pick up a point, but that's okay. Goalie-wise, Mike Smith was pretty solid, and Craig Anderson was really good in that little bit he played. So, yeah, I don't know what this team needs in terms of upgrading our team next season, but there is that. And let's advance to the end of the playoffs and see who ends up winning the Cup in 2010. We'll also take a look at the playoff bracket too. Ramo has been injured in the AHL. That's not ideal. I didn't realize Norfolk is still in the playoffs right now. Will the Norfolk Admirals be able to go on a run? Because that would be nice, considering Walls is down there. Let's take out McKenna, I think it was, because I wanted to play Hellenius, I think. I don't remember exactly, but it doesn't really matter too much. Let's see, who is going to win the Stanley Cup in 2010? So our AHL team looks like they're on to the conference finals, which is really good. Not that it matters too much because we don't really have a whole lot down there. Who is going to win the Stanley Cup? Atlanta's fired their head coach mid-playoffs, apparently. That's kind of funny. And Buffalo has as well. And the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Toronto Marlies win the Stanley Cup. Are you kidding me? That was a Stanley Cup winning Toronto team. Nikolai Heavy Bullen must have done it all. Heavy Bullen, going back to 2004, when the Leafs last made the playoffs before, or made it out of the first round before last year. And he goes on a tear, and the Leafs win the Cup in 2010. That's one of the most outrageous things I've seen. Well, okay, and then they also won the Calder Cup, which is kind of nuts. But we lose to the best team at least, which is good. But honestly, that team didn't look much better than ours. Good winger depth, though. That's one thing. Let's take a look at that playoff tree. They beat Phoenix for the Stanley Cup. Are you kidding me? That's one of the most meme cups I've ever seen. But what's kind of neat is Phoenix took out LA in the conference finals. And I'm pretty certain in 2012 when LA won the Stanley Cup, they knocked out Phoenix in the conference finals, wasn't it? Or was it Chicago or something instead that one year that Phoenix went to the conference finals? I don't remember exactly, but I know Phoenix got really far around this point, so it's good to see Phoenix get that far. But Toronto getting that far is just kind of hilarious at this stage, because they knocked out us, then they knocked out Boston in 6 games, then they knocked out Pittsburgh in 6 games, and then they swept Phoenix. Well, Phoenix went through Columbus, LA, or Phoenix went through Columbus, Dallas is what I'm trying to say, in 7, and LA, and then they got knocked out by Toronto. AHL-wise, yeah, our AHL team got to the conference finals, lost to the Texas Stars, who didn't actually exist in 2009, but they did in 2010. So the Marlies went on a run. They knocked out Hamilton, Quad City, and Iowa. Okay, let's take a look at those awards. Really didn't expect Toronto to win the Stanley Cup in year 2, but here we are. Pittsburgh won the President's Trophy, and it was, yeah, we already know, the Stanley Cup Finals. The Art Ross did go to Sergei Gonchar this year for his crazy performance. He also got the Hart this year. What a great year for Gonchar. And the Norris, of course. He's going to likely end up being one of the best players in this franchise mode for these few years that we do. Alfredson won the Lady Byng. Matt Duchene won the Calder. That's an interesting one. So he wins it over John Tavares because of the plus-minus, I think. Thomas Caberlet won the Conn Smythe. Okay, that's kind of weird. Didn't expect him to be the Conn Smythe winner. Fleury won the Vezina this season, and the Jennings, him, and John Curry, of all people. Bruno Gervais, the Bill Masterton. Nashville's head coach won the Jack Adams, so this would have been Barry Trotz at this point, I'm pretty sure. So that makes a lot of sense because Barry Trotz is a GOAT. Pavel Datsyuk to Selke, Gonchar to Lindsay, and the Maurice Richard went to Marian Gaborik. Any cool AHL awards to look at of players I made? Francois Bouillon was the best defenseman in the AHL for Peoria. It's a bit weird. Kari Ramo was the best goalie in the AHL, so that's kind of neat for us. Anthony Stewart, the best player in the AHL playoffs. Of course, after I memed him, said he wasn't that good. He wins the Calder Cup with the Marlies. Toskala was the best goalie in the AHL. We kind of knew about that. And that was that. Let me take a look at the stats from the Leafs in that cup win. Caberlet was point per game. He only had 1 goal, but 20 assists. Hagman was also up there for a potential Conn Smythe, which is kind of weird. But yeah, just in case you guys wanted to take a look at this. Because maybe I should always do this in this type of franchise mode. And then, yeah, goaltending stats. Happy Boom was great. He could have easily won the Conn Smythe as well. Niedermacky only played 1 game, or part of 1 game, and stopped everything. So there is that. Now the final thing we got to do is simulate up to the draft lottery results and all that stuff. Montreal wins the draft lottery in 2010, which means I believe they're getting Taylor Hall, I think, at this point. Edmonton falls to 3. Anaheim has 2. Colorado at 4. And Carolina at 5. Just in case you guys want to know about that. I can't remember who's in this draft class. I think it's Taylor Hall, but I can't remember. Okay, so retirement-wise that I made, not including players that I just added to the AHL and whatnot. Let's see, is there anybody? Derek Armstrong has retired with the New York Rangers, which he played in real life with for a bit. 45 points in 164 games. Anybody else? A lot of these guys are actually in this roster build and other roster builds, which is funny. So I am a little bit confused when I go through this type of thing now. Let's see, left wing wise, the real Nigel Dawes retires, but we know the other one just won a Stanley Cup in Toronto. Andre Waugh is retired. Okay, so there's another one, an enforcer, retiring in Manitoba with the AHL, but he played with Vancouver in this. Brad May also retires to another enforcer. The real Greg Malden. The real Antti Pillstrom retires as well. Literally all these guys are in this roster build almost that I'm seeing. Or a lot of them, I should say. Radek Smolenik retires. He was in our AHL team last season, I'm pretty sure. What else we got here? Nobody else there. Defensively, Nick Lidstrom retired. No. Wow. Nick Lidstrom retires in 2010. And wow. Instead of 2012, I think it was, or 2013. Was not expecting him to go already, based on his point totals. He had no points in 5 playoff games, was -9. So he retires. Rob Blake also retires. Damn, crazy to see these two guys already retire. Two legends. At least he won a Stanley Cup, Rob Blake, in the last year, too. I mean, he technically had a cup in 01, too, so I think it was, right? Yeah, I think, if I remember right. Patrice Brisebois also retired in this second year. Interesting. So we got a couple actual retirements of guys I made. Jason Cullimore's another one. Former Tampa Bay Lightning player that won the Stanley Cup in 04. And the rest of these players I didn't make. Goalie-wise, the real Mike Smith retires, but we know the other Mike Smith is still playing in our roster. Johan Hedberg is the only one I made that retired, as he retires as an AHL goaltender. So there we go. Those are the retirements. Did we lose any coach? No, we did not. That's good. Let's take a look at what this draft class is looking like, the contract situation, and the progress reports, and then that'll be it for this episode. So draft class-wise, yeah, this is a Seguin and Taylor Hall draft. The good thing is there's an EA-generated guy, because that means that likely Taylor Hall could fall to Edmonton. Depends. Him and Seguin might go. It's not a really unanimous choice between him and Seguin. That's interesting. Just like IRL. Tarasenko's in this draft as well. Kuznetsov, Mark Stone. There's some really good players in the draft. Cam Fowler, Jeff Skinner. So this might be the type of year where we would want to move up, but I honestly don't think I'm going to be doing that. There's an elite generated goal or defender, but we won't be able to get to see him play, probably. There's a lowly as well. Goalie-wise, who's the best goaltender? Oh, yeah, Grubauer's in this draft. That's right. Freddie Anderson, Jack Campbell, Peter Mrazek, Calvin Pickard, Louis Domingue. It's funny because it's listing Calvin Pickard as a bust. That's hilarious. Scott Wedgwood. So there is the goalies in the draft. Final few things, the progress reports and the contract situation, and then that'll be it for this episode. So we're getting some regression from Martin St. Louis and from Vakov Prospel, which is not ideal. We are getting some growth from Mazaros, who apparently is medium elite, which is weird because he's only an 84. Stamkos is getting a lot of growth, but he needs to produce too. Anything else intriguing? Not really. Any good growth from the AHL prospect in Walls? Yes, he's up to a 68. He's actually listed as a depth forward at this stage, which is kind of weird. But, yeah, he is getting closer to the NHL, which is good. But I don't know if he would be before the end of the series. And then goalie-wise, Ramo didn't really get much growth. And McKenna and Helenius stayed the exact same. Final thing, the contract situation. Let's see. Who is up for renewal this offseason? Matt Niskanen's the big one. He at least is an RFA. I probably will give him a long-term deal. But there is a chance we end up having to lose some players here. We got like Halpern, we got Ranger, Kopecky, Artukin, Gotch. Pretty much our entire bottom six. And some defensemen. So I don't know who we should let go of and who we should bring back. The good thing is Downey's still in RFA, so we could always bring him back again. And goalie-wise, I honestly might let go of Mike McKenna easily and keep on Ramo in the AHL for now. So there's that. I also wanted to take a look actually at the pending free agents this offseason. Who is the pending free agent? Gonchar's a pending free agent. That's a big one considering he just had an insane season. Ilya Kovalchuk's a pending free agent. That's another big one. So if we want to go after some big name players that might head to the free agent market, like Alex Steen, for example, Rick Nash, Patrick Marleau, it could be a really good free agent class. A lot of these guys probably will get re-signed, but you never know. Some of these guys might go to the market, which would be really intriguing, because there's a lot of good ones. Let's also go to RFAs for fun, just to see if there's any good RFAs potentially headed to the market. Taze, Backstrom, Caney contracts. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to qualify any RFA kind of guys, but because we got our own to deal with. But there is that. So, anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Tampa Bay Lightning Throwback 2009 franchise mode. So, in next episode, we'll take it to the draft and re-sign stage. As we look to, maybe, like, this might be one of our last seasons, we want to look to try and get our team as good as possible for this upcoming season, because we don't know if this might be one of her last years in this franchise mode, and last chances at winning a Stanley Cup too, for that matter. So anything down below, and I'll see you guys next time.